What is up, YouTube? This is your host, Ranee B, here to spill some sporadically recorded homicidal tea. Now, I know it's been a while. I mean, where have the videos been? Well, I don't know. No excuse.
I am done with the excuses.
I am just not feeling any of these people. Like, I'll go through my little list of scripts and I'll be like, can anybody talk to me? I mean, literally scrolling down them today, and I was like, okay, guys, who wants their story told? Talk to me. Somebody. Who wants to talk? Nothing. Radio silent. So I went to the web, and faster than anything, this guy pops up, and this story stuck. I mean, like, it grabbed my soul, like super glued itself to my brain. So Brian, this one's for you. And it's not like I had much of a choice in the matter, buddy. You were pretty forceful, but let's get to it. The solved homicide case of Brian Geddes. It was the 1980s, new wave, hair bands, you know, all sorts of fun stuff, the rise of MTV, and I mean, who could forget the decade that brought us E.T. and the Goonies, the latter of which I've never seen. Smash that unlike button. Anyway, during this much more seemingly fun era, a man by the name of Brian Geddes was not having the time of his life. He was unemployed and he really just had no idea what direction his life would take him. He purchased a used car that needed some work with the $600 unemployment check that he had. And when he started working on it, he found that he was kind of a secret savant when it comes to auto repair and fixing stuff. So after that week, he sold that car for a pretty good profit. He started purchasing more cars that didn't run or needed a little help. He started fixing those only to sell them again and putting aside some of the money he made to buy another one and saving other part of it for, investing and whatnot. So that cycle continued over and over and over. And in the meantime, he started trying his luck in the booming real estate market. Well, that paid off too. So things started really turning up for him. Did I say just turning up? Looking up.
Turn down for what?
No kidding. Anyway, he even got the opportunity to buy a Boise River front property for himself. Oh my gosh. His children were thrilled that his life was finally getting back on track and that he was what could actually be defined now as a self-made success story. His net worth was easily over $1 million, and that didn't even include some of the real estate and stuff. So, I mean, like, liquid wise, he was like $1 million guy. But I mean, when it came to investments, he had a lot more of that. He was looking forward to a great future. Well, the Garden City Police Department, this would be in Idaho, and they received a welfare check call from a woman named Megan to check on her father. She hadn't heard from him in about 2 weeks, and that was really out of the ordinary for him. And her father's name was Brian Geddes. Megan had last spoken to her father on his 50th birthday, which was about a month earlier, about 3 weeks earlier, but she hadn't heard from him since. Now, all wasn't really quiet from Brian. Megan had actually received a number of texts from Brian's phone, but there was no way that these were from her father. The last time she heard from him, it was a text saying that he was spending his 50th birthday in Jackpot, Nevada. That is not Brian's style. He was a self-made man who guarded his money. I mean, he busted his ass to make that money. He would never be one to just blow his money at the casino with like any little chance of any return on that investment. That's how he looked at large sums of money, is see if he could invest and get a return on them. The casino just didn't make sense. But what else was particularly sus was that prior to Megan calling the police to check out her dad's property, Megan's brother had gone by the house himself to check on his dad. Now bookmark this point in this case. We're going to kind of do some Pulp Fiction stuff and jump around the timeline a little bit. So just bookmark this, the son visiting the property. Ding! Right there. Well, when he got there, he was greeted by some people he didn't know. And he asked them, "Who the heck are you?" And they seemed just as surprised whenever he asked them that than he was. They said that they were friends of Jordan and that she had lived there. Well, soon after, Jordan arrived with some other guy, and she told Brian's son that Brian was having the time of his life in Nevada, and they should be coming home soon, and whenever he came home, he'd give him a call. Megan's brother left and called Megan, let her know what he found out. Nope. his son might have been more of a laid-back dude. Megan, no ma'am, didn't sit well with her. So she hoofed it over to the house herself to get some answers. Who the hell was this Jordan woman that was in his house?
I thought I smelled trash.
Now, she was trailer trash. That's not me saying that. I'm not being my normal mean girl self here. Those were her own words. She knew what she was. Jordan Shaver, she described herself as trailer trash, accurate, gutter trash, I agree, and among other things. And she declared those proudly. I mean, she was brought up in extreme poverty. And after she graduated high school, and frankly, I'm impressed that she even made it that far, she almost shifted from somewhat lost and rather ignorant in society to rebellious and angry. She'd reconnected with a classmate named Burke Gamblin. It was around September of 2012. Burke was the polar opposite of Jordan. Upper middle class, pretty much, just stable, not fighting the societal norms that most of us adhere to. Jordan had basically slid into Burke's DMs and said they should hang out. We all know what that means. Burke and Jordan met up and they hit it off. Now, they became pretty much inseparable. Burke learned that Jordan was a loan officer, and she was pretty excited about the fact that she had just purchased her new home. Things progressed, and Burke and Jordan started taking things to the next level around October 2012. Up until that point, Jordan had been really private about her home life, and she explained, though, that her mother was going through a rough bout of chemo, and she just didn't want any visitors. But finally, Jordan let Burke come over to the new house that she had just purchased. Up until this point, Burke, he started questioning whether or not she even had a home. But boy, did he get proved wrong. When they drove up, he saw this beautiful, sprawling riverfront property. It had a terrace, high-end hot tub, extremely, just impeccably designed interiors. Greeting them in the driveway was a really nice boat and quite a few automobiles, including a Hummer. Secretly, Burke wondered where all this money was coming from. I mean, when he would politely comment on, things like, well, this looks really expensive and whatnot. Well, of course, Jordan had an answer. Her dad, that had abandoned her at birth, was a billionaire. And now he was trying to win her back in her life and trying to make up for lost time with gifts of money and the finer things. And that happens. So that combined with, her, great paying loan officer job, it seemed believable. But as time went on, the house became a hot spot to party at. Friends from all walks of life came by for booze, for drugs, and to crash, after the all-night parties. And this was all paid for by Jordan. She never seemed to go to work, though. So Burke started wondering if maybe she was like an adult film star or something. I mean, some things just didn't add up. But he never asked, the drinks were flowing. The party never seemed to stop. So, party on, right? Well, things started getting really weird when Burke saw an elderly couple, the neighbors across the way. And, since he was there all the time, he wanted to make acquaintance with them. He introduced himself, but was asked by the elderly couple, where's Brian? And he's like, what do you mean? Who's Brian? Well, it turns out that Burke remembered that Jordan had just purchased this property. That must have been Brian. So that's what he explained to the couple. Elderly couple said that was the same thing that Jordan had told them too, but no, they didn't believe it. And for some reason, they just didn't like her. And they damn sure didn't trust her. It ended abruptly. Couple, they didn't want anything to do with him, Jordan, or any of the party people that constantly came over. They just came and went in this once beautiful river house that Jordan and the revolving door of junkies and obvious drug dealers seemed to be intent on destroying. When Burke confronted Jordan about this, her response was, oh, they have Alzheimer's. It's really sad. And she brushed it off. So, okay. Ding, bookmark. Remember that? Well, back to the visit that we talked about earlier. On November 2nd, 2012, Jordan and Burke were not home. However, their fun time gang of druggy buddies were. And when Brian's son arrived, taking us back to the beginning of the story, the bookmark, Brian's son questioned these obvious degenerates that were in his father's home. Jordan showed up in the middle of the confrontation and calmly explained that his father was in Nevada. Seemingly okay with that explanation, Brian's son left, but Jordan's demeanor totally changed once he was out of the driveway. She freaked out. She kept saying, oh my God, what if he calls the cops? So everybody scrambled. They tore ass. Well, right after this, Megan, Brian's daughter, got a call from her brother, and after hearing that stupid explanation, that's when, like at the beginning of the story, she decided to go to the house herself. When she got there, her stomach sank. Brian kept the property in immaculate condition. I mean, this house was perfect, perfectly manicured landscaping. It was completely in a disarray. It was growing out of control. There was trash everywhere. It was awful. Megan approached the door and was greeted by Jordan, someone that Megan was familiar with. But she didn't approve of being in her father's company. You see, in August, Megan had seen Jordan with her father, and Megan was told by her father that he'd met Jordan while walking out of the nature trail behind his house. Well, later that evening, Jordan had arrived at his front door and told him that she had been violently attacked by her boyfriend and kicked out of the house, and she was afraid for her safety. Okay, well, Brian's a nice guy. This is a younger girl. I mean, Megan warned her father about the motives of this young woman, but she was reassured by Brian that he was only trying to help her, and it was on the short term. Don't worry, Megan. He assured her everything was going to be fine. Well, it wasn't. When meeting Jordan at the door, she was told the same story, the same Nevada BS story about her dad, and whenever Megan pressed for details, Jordan's tone turned from cool and collected to aggressive and more panicked. Almost desperation in her, trying to convince everything. And Megan believed nothing about this Nevada story. So she called bullshit and left, but not far from the front door. She then saw Jordan fleeing from the home and she called the police. Police came out and they cordoned off the house and they got there and they looked for more evidence to see that Brian hadn't departed on his own volition. They also contacted numerous jackpot casinos and hospitals. Nothing. The detectives traced his cell phone and they received a ping back from a signal to a Walmart parking lot. And where, lo and behold, who'd they find? Jordan. She was hiding in her car, too dumb to turn off Brian's phone. Oh my gosh, that she stole, apparently. I don't understand. Anyway, you know what? Because they're dumb, that's why. Anyway, detectives didn't really have enough to arrest her yet, but they wanted to jump on her questioning because she was already really agitated and they could tell that she was just probably going to be an easy one to crack. So they said, hey, will you come down to the station for some questioning? Reassuring her, you are not under arrest. She bit. She agreed. So Jordan started talking, which is always great. She made claims first that Brian was afraid of a local drug dealer after the drug deal went wrong. Anyway, she said that the drug dealer even held a gun to her head and threatened to kill her and her entire family. I'm sure they all had like about 10 teeth between them. Anyway, must not have been that terrifying because it didn't deter her from staying at the house. But anyway, the police used a tactic to try to get Jordan to tell them the truth. They sent Burke in to ask her what the hell was going on. The minute she saw him, she started bawling, screaming, I'll tell him everything. I'll just tell them everything. Burke exited the room. Jordan told them the truth. Jordan told detectives that she and Brian were in the bedroom on October 16, 2012. Jordan claimed that she was giving Brian a massage and that she was discussing a pistol that she had just bought. Well, Jordan had said that she'd handed the pistol to Brian to look at, and he, looked it over and handed it back to her, telling her that everything looked good with it, and boom! It went off suddenly. That always happens with guns. I don't know if any of you guys are gun owners, but I can tell you firsthand, it's very rare they just go off. But, this one went off. And coincidentally, struck him in the back of the head. Wow. Well, Jordan panicked, but she decided not to call the police. She had to do something more important. She had to go to Walmart. And she thought it would be best to go on a shopping spree. She recalled these important things that she needed. Clothing, makeup, and a tarp. When she got back to the house, Jordan wrapped Brian's body in the tarp, and she took it to the crawl space underneath the house. This is just harrowing to retell. I hate this part of the story. She put him in a crawl space underneath his house and left him there. And then she went on with life as normal, even sleeping on the very mattress that was soaked in the blood from his head wound. Burke, can you imagine? He slept on that mattress. How horrified was he when he learned that not only was he, partying and screwing a chick on the very mattress that the homeowner was murdered on, but then also partied above where he was slowly decomposing. All things that Jordan knew and things that she just didn't care about. Jordan's trial began on December 18th, 2013, and once there in the courtroom, she was offered a plea agreement for second-degree murder. She was initially charged with first-degree murder, and she accepted the plea. The only reason that Brian's family agreed for the state to offer that plea bargain to her was that so many cases in the American justice system, a lot of times people commit these stupidly heinous crimes. They get off on some stupid technicality. That's something that the family just didn't want to risk. But, and also they probably didn't want to relive all those details. And a lot of details they didn't know and they didn't need to know. But let's take some time to reflect on the facts of this case. Jordan had buried Brian beneath his dream home, stayed there for 3 weeks, hosted drug-fueled parties, drove his cars. She only cared about being more affluent than her classmates. Dude, you were out of high school. Get on with your life. It was a whole month before she killed Brian that she told Burke that she had purchased this new home. Is that premeditation or what? She could have totally gotten the old needle. They offer that in Idaho, It's a luxury for those pieces of shit there. But anyway, instead, Jordan received a life sentence, and she'll be eligible for parole in 2032. Maybe someone on the inside can help us out. I'm not advocating that. I'm just saying that if it happened, I wouldn't be that sad. Yes, I said it. Anyway. Well, that is it for this video. We'll see you soon. Well, not soon, eventually. No, I'm kidding. Soon. In the next video. Thank you so much, as always, for staying with me. Oh my gosh. Even whenever I decide to take off for no good reason whatsoever. I wish that I had tales of travels, but nope. The farthest my travels would be is down the hall to watch Secret Life of the Zoo with my old ugly dogs. That's what I've been up to. It's kind of sad. But I got a new background and I got new stuff. I have a lot more stuff that unfortunately doesn't fit on the camera. I don't know why I thought that this camera was, anyway, I don't know. But yeah, anyway, so hope you like the new background. Hope you like the video. And I'm going to do a lot more videos, I promise. But right now, I think The Secret Life of the Zoo is on. And if you haven't watched it, you've got to. Anyway, okay, see ya. Bye.
That's the coolest fucking story I've ever heard in my entire life. That's insane. Can I hear it again?